What TV show has the best pilot episode? The Chappelle Show's first episode had Clayton Bigsby the Black and Blind Klansman. X-Files, it set the mood perfectly for that show, as long as you ignore the awful sound quality compared to later episodes in the first season. Fargo, the ending of the pilot was shocking and really set the tone for the rest of the amazing first series. Fargo is one of the best shows I've seen. Pilot was amazing. Lorne Malvo, evening, officer. Gus Grimley, evening. License and registration, please. Lorne Malvo, we could do it that way. You ask me for my papers. I tell you it's not my car, that I borrowed it. See where things go from there. We could do that. Or you could go get in your car and drive away. Gus Grimley, now, why would I do that? Lorne Malvo, because some roads you shouldn't go down. Because maps used to say, there be dragons here. Now they don't. But that don't mean the dragons aren't there. The scene where Hess at the post office and trying to get the package and the person is arguing that he can't pick up someone else's package. And he just goes, am I going to have to go back there and get it myself? So good. Also, this is highly irregular. No, highly irregular was the time I found a human foot in a toaster oven. This is just plain odd. Dexter's was pretty good, at least I think it was. Tonight's the night. Charlie has cancer, then they regrouped and shot. The gang gets racist as the official pilot. Which was also excellent. Edit, some original footage. This was pre-Philly, and not fully cast as well. Caitlin was a late addition, m.youtube.com. Is he your brother or your brother? So, I took him to the back alley. And I tore his ass apart. I love the look on Dennis' face as he says that. Like he's starting to put it together. The way he looks Dennis up and down and gives him that little smirk while telling the story kills me every time. Westworld. The heavy ideas kept coming fast one after the next, and I thought, whoa, slow down and pace yourselves, guys. But I was eating it all up throughout episode 1. Edit, thank you kindly for the silver. I'm actually thinking of creating a class called Philosophy of Westworld, dealing with questions of bioethics, labor, technology and narrative. I'd be excited to teach that one. I love how the opening makes it seem like Teddy is a new guest arriving to Sweetwater. Yeah, that was great twist right at the beginning. That and having Ed Harris and Black acting like the gunslinger from the original Westworld movie was a great misdirect too. I thought for sure he was a host and Teddy was human when it was vice versa. Dead Like Me was fantastic. Poignant, funny, dark and charming. Loved Dead Like Me. While Ellen Muth was great, Mandy Patinkin really was the heart of that show. I always thought it was weird that Ellen Muth has done almost no acting roles since Dead Like Me. She hasn't been in anything since 2013. Oh, and in the 2000s reboot of Battlestar Galactica, hell of a pilot, hell of a show. Holy shit, the first time those drums start pounding. That score is one of my favorites. Bear McCreary is a genius. Archer. The thought of me dying gave you an erection? Only half of one. The other half would have really missed you. Wait. That came out wrong. Big fan of Prison Break's first episode. It's ducking mental. The tattoos, the ridiculous dialogue, the matchstick Taj Mahal. Ridiculous show overall, but a lot of fun. Community, because it introduces all the main characters, their backgrounds, and the direction of the show all in about 20 minutes. The Night Of. Most nervous I've ever been watching an episode of TV. Fringe. I wasn't really sure about this show at first. But the first exchange between Olivia and Walter about the pudding had my laughing out loud. John Noble carried that show for me. This is the show that made me a fan of John Noble. S4 of Elementary cemented it. Smile. Pushing Daisies. I really missed that show. I was laying in bed in the middle of the night last week thinking about it, how good it was. Quirky and just wonderful. It's streaming on Amazon Prime Video now. Edit, in the US, sorry to get your hopes up, Redditors outside the US. Twin Peaks. Scrubs? Edit, Scrubs. Did you put a penny in there? If I find a penny in there, you're going down. It all started with a penny and a door. There was a hatred I had never felt before. Yes, now I'll make him pay each and every day until that moused hair nuisance is no more. It's no longer on the air, but the show Castle, Nathan Fillion, Stana Cottage, had a really solid pilot episode. Madman. Really makes you think a certain way about Don Draper and those around him, then has a massive twist at the end which leaves you wanting more. Burn Notice. BBC's Sherlock had a great first episode. The graphics on screen are commonplace now, but that was pretty cool to me at the time. Sherlock popularized that way of showing text messages. Now everyone does it, very efficient and clean. Yeah, before they'd always shoehorn in some awkward over-the-shoulder shot of someone's phone. This way is much better. Orphan Black. This show is not nearly as well known as it should be. Tatiana Maslany is an amazing actress. Every so often while I was watching this show I would once again remember that all these characters were played by the same actress and just get blown away all over again. One of the most impressive performances I have ever seen in my life. True Detective, in my opinion. I don't watch many series, because if the pilot is not good I usually don't bother watching the rest, but this one got me going from the start. At least for the first season, anyway. Invader Zim because it not only introduced us to the characters, but told us what Irkins hate and love. Ozark. That show goes 0 to 60 real quick. The West Wing. Your president is a geek. Ada, thanks for the gold. Justified. Perfect introduction to Raylan Givens. Almost all of the series themes are seated in the pilot. Also, he pulled First We Dug Coal Together. You're the angriest man. I know it's really one of my favorites. Edit. I looked up the If Club review from way back and I think it answers Op's question about what makes a good pilot. Justified is everything a great pilot should do. It has an arresting, instant hook of an opening scene. It gives a vivid impression of the major players, especially Raylan, of course, while leaving some questions about them hanging. It has a wonderfully particular sense of time and place. It suggests the potential for endless juicy storylines over the stretch of however many seasons it stays on the air, and most of all, it's entertaining as all get out. Battlestar Galactica, 3-hour miniseries that sets the stage then blows the world up. And then followed up with 33. If that's not the best 1-2 punch in TV history, it's at least among the top 5. White Collar. So underrated, I really enjoyed most of its seasons. I think I'm due for a rewatch. That 70s show, Foreman stealing 4 warm beers from Red and Kitty's party. Buffy. Perfectly established characters, relationships and some lore. Also the first scene shows how Buffy breaks genre conventions. Tie between The Shield or Fargo. Psych. That show was amazing. Adding a little old school, The Mary Tyler Moore Show. The Handmaid's Tale pilot drew me into the show immediately. For comedy, I'd say Broad City. I know it's not everyone's taste but personally, I'm charmed by the characters and writing. I knew I'd love the show from the first episode. The Expanse. I was hooked from the first 5 minutes when I saw Julie Mao floating in zero gravity, trapped in a room and screaming for help. My first thoughts were being trapped alone in space has to be one of the worst forms of torture. The show has only gotten better and I feel that each season was better than the last. Outlander? The way the time travel transitioned from 1945 to 1745 was just amazing. I also loved how Claire took care of Jamie's arm that was so cute. Lost. Final Space. Lost, reels you in and only disappoints from there. Firefly. Dead Like Me. Girl dies after being hit by a fallen space station toilet and is so bland she needs to prove her worth by becoming a Grim Reaper.